Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by the Bears Casino. Ronnie Rantz alongside Tommy Krysan, TK over at Court Street Cafe in downtown Port Allen. I am at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. You can go to lasportshall.com. We're going to have the Santa Super 7 auction probably about 3 weeks from now. Maybe three, and it's going to be a great time to be able to get those kind of Christmas gifts and those specialty items for folks at the end of the year. If you got any tax write-offs, it goes to the foundation, so you can get a little write-off, but also get some cool gifts that you can have for either your office, yourself, your loved ones, your kids, your friends. lasportshall.com, Santa Super 7 online auction. We'll be telling you more about it as we get closer. All right, TK. By the way, a little note for Texas Collegiate League fans, whether it be in Baton Rouge with the Rougarou, whether it be in Lake Charles with the Gumbo Gators. Tickets will go on sale, season tickets, and we have some incentives for you to get your tickets now. Will go on sale Black Friday. We're going to have a Black Friday sale. If you buy a Rougarou season ticket, it will be $99 for one season ticket. Good for one person all season long to all the games. If you paid $10 to game to go to all the games, Tommy, it would be $240. Or you can get a $99 season ticket, and you get a $35 online credit to be. You got to use it by the end of January, but you get a code to get a $35 online credit in our merchandise store. So $35 gets you. You're not going to get you any hats. Going to get you any shirt. Whatever you want. Little tumblers, koozies, foam fingers, you name it. You get a $35 credit in our online store. So that'll be for 1 week only. We'll run it Friday morning of a Black Friday sale, and then also we have some season tickets, general admission, and some reserve seats over in Lake Charles, also with online credit incentives to go ahead and get your tickets now and not wait. Don't miss out on that opportunity. By the way, Tommy, how about this? Over in Lake Charles, we have an all-you-can-eat reserve seat.
Uh-oh, all you can eat. We got some people that you don't need to let know that.
Yeah, so it's an all-you-can-eat reserve seat over in Lake Charles that we're doing for the first time ever this year. Right, really cool. All right, TK, World of Sports, what we have going on? Everybody wanting to know about Lane Kiffin. Is Lane Kiffin going to be the coach at LSU? Is Lane Kiffin going to be the coach at Florida? Is Lane Kiffin going to stay at Ole Miss? Well, all we know right now is what we hear officially, and officially we're hearing he's going to meet with the athletic director and president of Ole Miss today. We know his family has flown to Gainesville. We know his family has flown to Baton Rouge. We know his daughter was at the Bengal Bells luncheon yesterday that I emceed along with her boyfriend Whit Weeks and his mama. What all that means, who knows? But the bottom line is, TK, Lane Kiffin, we should probably know something pretty shortly. If he's not going to be the coach at Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss is going to find that out this weekend.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've said for the last week plus, he's either staying at Ole Miss or coming to LSU. I don't think Florida's in play. That's just a personal opinion, a personal feel. But I keep telling people there's going to be a day when you know who the next coach is. I just don't know when that day is going to be. Nor do I know who the coach is going to be.
Part of this conversation that's supposed to take place today in Oxford with the head officials could also be, how do we want to handle this moving forward, right? Ole Miss has a decision to make. If Lane Kiffin doesn't give them the commitment and sign an extension and a raise, then they know he's gone, whether he says he's gone or not. They've got a decision to make. Do we want a guy who's going to be coaching somewhere else in 26 to coach us the rest of the season, to coach us in the playoffs, and try to go after a national championship knowing that 1 foot is out the door? That is a tough pill to swallow for a football team. You wouldn't want to see a player do that, and you surely don't want your head coach to do that. And so I don't know if a university is going to be okay with Lane Kiffin, as much as they love Lane Kiffin and he's the offensive coordinator genius and all these things. I think there's going to be too much ego for Ole Miss and their school and their boosters and their officials to be able to let Lane Kiffin be already out the door to LSU or Florida, but yet still coach him to potentially middle of January.
Well, I would think if you're the AD and the president of Ole Miss in the meeting today, you're making him an offer, an extension. You're saying this is what we want to do in order to keep you here. And then I don't know if they say we need your answer in 24 hours, we need your answer by midnight tonight, or maybe he signs it and then there's the end of that discussion. But I would think that's Ole Miss's play is either you tell us now that you're going to stay or not, and then, I mean, it still gets a little sticky because they should be in the playoff. Where everybody expects them to be in the playoff, unless they get crazy and lose at the Egg Bowl and a whole bunch of other stuff happens. But it's tough, man. It's a tough situation for Lane Kiffin. It's a good situation because you get a payday no matter what, a big payday no matter what. But it's kind of oogie, as you would like to say.
Yeah, I don't have any inside info. I don't have any inside feel. All I can tell you is Lane Kiffin's daughter was super impressed by the Bengal Bells luncheon that took place at the final luncheon of the season. They had the Weeks brothers on stage. They had JD LaFleur, which is David LaFleur's son. David LaFleur, the former All-American tight end in the mid-'90s, first-round pick of the Cowboys. He was in attendance there, being on stage. Ben Bordelon's son, Bo Bordelon, the oldest, who's Ben Bordelon played at LSU in the mid-'90s and played in the NFL as an offensive lineman. Ben Bordelon is a part of the search committee. I mean, he is literally a part of the panel of people that are going to select a coach. Ben's wife was at the event. She sat at the same table next to Kiffin's daughter. So, and I know Kiffin's daughter was heard saying, well, oh, wow, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. And of course, it's a room full of women that are there for the Bengal Bells luncheon. I don't know. They probably were 600 women in the room, Tommy.
Wow.
And, and they had an unbelievable, they had all these vendors, all these stores and boutiques and all these things that are in the lobby of the event center at Le Berge, selling goods and stuff. Looks like the Mall, Louisiana, in its heyday. I mean, just shops everywhere and all. And she was blown away at the luncheon and the presentation and and just the whole thing. And she said, "I've never seen anything like this. This is incredible." And she stuck around and kind of went around through the shops. I didn't see her buy any LSU stuff, but I noticed her, looking through and visiting. You hope that made an impact, and she goes back to Daddy and says, "Oh my God, Daddy, these people are great, and they're so passionate." And blah 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 blah. Does that make a difference? Who knows? I mean, but so that's all I've got, and I do feel like he's not going to stay at Ole Miss. That's definitely what I feel. Could be wrong. Maybe he has a guilt complex or something. But if he was going to stay at Ole Miss by now, Tommy, I think he would have done so, and it would be less public and less messy. If he sent his family, if his agent and he sent his family to go to Florida and go to Baton Rouge to just shake down Ole Miss, that's a little much because it's been a couple of weeks of unnecessary distraction at the wrong time of the year to do so for something like this. And now it's coming to a head where you've got the Egg Bowl coming up. People are going to want to know in or out, and we're going to find out soon. But I think Lane is out at Ole Miss, and it's either Florida or LSU. But that's just based on everything that I'm seeing.
Do you think there's a scenario that he's out? Okay, President AD put the offer on the table today, and he says, "Guys, I'm not signing that." That they let him coach for however long Ole Miss can keep playing, or do they tell him, "Hey, coach, if you're not going to commit to us, we'll get an interim coach for the Egg Bowl next week"?
I I don't I think as long as he doesn't tell them no, as long as he doesn't tell them I'm going to LSU, I'm leaving, and as long as it doesn't get out publicly, I'm gonna say they ride with him. Um, he got him here. He you got no shot if he's not there, right? You know what I mean? Like you're hurting yourself by having Lane Kiffin not there. But, if Mr. Johnny, who writes the big checks, says, I want him out, then maybe he is. But gun to the head, I'm going to say, as long as he doesn't say I'm leaving and he just puts him off, I think they let him coach.
Yeah, well, and this is something that's going to probably happen each and every year. Not with LSU, not with Lane Kiffin, but it seems like in the landscape of college football now, we're always going to have the team that needs a coach, and they want somebody who's got a playoff spot, or going to good chance to get a playoff spot, or somebody that's going to be locked into the playoffs. So I mean, it's just going to be part of it. And I know Tiger fans are anxious everywhere I've gone for the week. Right, I made a comment. I had $1 for some every time somebody said who's going to be the next coach. I'd have a lot of dollars, but I don't know. I can guess and what I feel, but it's just part of it. And hopefully LSU finds a way to do the right thing, whether that's Lane Kiffin or not. And they got to get a coach, and they will.
By the way, Brian Kelly being linked to potential Michigan State job. He's got a lake house in Michigan. He started off his career as a coach at two different colleges and head coach two different colleges in Michigan. So there's a lot of ties there. It makes a lot of sense. Michigan State that job is not officially open, but it's expected to be. I think they're 2-8 or something like that. And that would be a great thing for LSU if he got that Michigan State job, because whatever he makes on an annual salary would be offset by the LSU would be able to delete whatever he makes annually from what they owe him, which is $10 million a year. The problem, Tommy, is Michigan State knows that. Brian Kelly knows that. And there's no reason for Michigan State to overpay, right? So they're not going to pay him more than what he was making at LSU. So whether he makes $5 million on the books at Michigan State or whether he makes $6 million on the books at Michigan State doesn't really matter. So Michigan State's going to probably pay him a little bit on the lower side of the Big Ten because he knows he's going to get the rest from LSU.
Well, a similar situation occurred a long time ago. You and I were involved in when Hal Mumme took the job at Southeastern. I mean, I think his salary was 70 or 75,000 when he took it in 02, 03. But Kentucky still owed him 450,000 for 2 more years, 2 more payments of 450. So he was able to take the Southeastern job, get his name back in the ring, and then when the Kentucky check stopped, he went to New Mexico State because they paid him 2.25 or 250, somewhere in that neighborhood. So you're right about that. And LSU AD office is probably hoping he gets the Michigan State job, and hopefully they really pay him a lot, is what they're thinking.
All right, TK. So the Lane Kiffin watch is officially on. As far as LSU football this weekend, the Tigers at home against WKU, formerly Western Kentucky. They want to be called WKU now. And this is it's a pretty decent WKU team.
Yeah, they're 8-2 overall, 6-1 in Conference USA. And LSU now a 21.5-point favorite, 3 touchdowns, over and under 50.5. So I don't think WKU can score a whole lot on LSU, but we all know, can LSU score 20 points? Can they score 24 points? That becomes the question. WKU is going to come in here guns a-blazing. They see a chance to beat an SEC team in their mind, even though it's a 21.5-point difference on the spread. Going to be interesting tomorrow night in Tiger Stadium.
I think obviously the wise guys know what they're doing. Speaking of the wise guys know what they're doing, Tommy, yesterday LSU women's basketball was playing Alcorn State women. Kim Mulkey's team had scored 5 straight 100-point games. Alcorn State, I think, was 2-2. LSU's women were a 61.5-point favorite. 61.5-point favorite, and they covered by 2. I think they won by 63 points or something like that. They barely covered, but they did cover. I would love to know how many people took LSU minus 61.5, because that is hard to do. I don't care who's playing who. LSU's women could be playing Tommy and I, and I would probably take the plus points on 61.5. But Credit LSU's women. That's 6 straight 100-point games, which is a national record.
Well, I'd like you. I'd like to see that stat. How many people laid the 61 and a half? And then I'd like to see how many people took it just thinking, oh, if I'm winning 61 and a half to nothing before they tip off, I got to do that. Well, we'll see. That's curious. But LSU plays in a tournament down in the Virgin Islands next week. Kim Mulkey's team does. And they play Duke a week from tonight. So the competition will be a little stronger. We'll see if they get 100 then. They might. I don't know. They're averaging 112 points a game.
Yeah, LSU's 2025 LSU Tigers is forever going to be in the record book as the team that scored the well, not forever, but it'll be in the record book. And, whether it's 1, 2, 3, but a 6 straight game scoring 100 points each. That tied the 1982 Louisiana Tech team led by Kim Mulkey. They went on to win the national championship that year in 1982. And so congratulations to them. That's an outstanding accomplishment. And we will definitely be keeping up with them. How about Kim Mulkey the other day, Tommy? LSU played at Tulane down at Fogelman in New Orleans, and she called out the local media, many of which did not make the trip down I-10 an hour to go cover them. And she blasted them a little bit.
Yeah, she did. That's Kim Mulkey. She's earned that. You look at her resume from Hammond High on up, and the story. She can say what she wants when she wants to say it, and that doesn't surprise me that she does that because she did that when she was at Baylor. She doesn't bite her tongue, and she hadn't done it since she got to Baton Rouge.
All right, TK. The men have a game. They play tonight. The men have a game tonight. Who do they play and what's the line?
They host Omaha, who we saw the Omaha baseball team come in Alex Box Stadium, actually won a game against LSU. Didn't they beat LSU one of those games?
I believe so, Tommy.
Yeah, well, LSU's men will play Omaha. They're 2-3 from the Summit Conference. They have won 2 in a row, so they were 0-3, and they picked up a couple of wins. But the Tigers are a 20.5-point favorite against Western Kentucky. LSU's men, 4-0, and they got some athletic players is what it looks like. We'll see how they do against Omaha tonight.
Yeah, you got about an $8 million, $9 million budget that LSU basketball is playing with. Oh, by the way, McNeese has about a $1.3 million budget, I believe, is what theirs is that they're playing with. I would love to see McNeese play LSU. Not going to happen, but it would be interesting to see what 1.3 and 9 do. McNeese is really, really good, by the way, and especially in their league, they will roll in the Southland. All right, so LSU's men with a big one tonight. It's also White Light Night tonight. Stop by on Government Street if you're in Baton Rouge. Big part, basically a block party going on down Government Street from 6 to 10 o'clock tonight. Stop by Woodenhaven Furniture Company and see old Joel Davis. He's going to have some food, complimentary food for you. He's going to have Chris Warner is going to be out there signing books. Chris is an interesting visit. And of course, if you've ever been to Floribama for a number of years, Chris used to sit outside, inside and sign books and things like that over there. And a lot else going on. Go to Woodenhaven Furniture Company right across from Calandro's and Curbside Burgers on Government Street. All right, TK, what else we have going on in the world of sports?
Well, the Pelicans playing in Dallas tonight. Mavericks are a 3.5-point favorite. I'm 8-7 on the TK Pelican bet plan, and I'm laying a 3.5 tonight. I had a tough one the other night. I laid 17.5. They won by 17, or the Pelicans lost by 17, so they covered, but didn't win the game, obviously. But and then they back home tomorrow night, a back-to-backer from the road to home. So we'll see how that goes tonight. Mavericks don't have a good record, but they are a 3.5-point favorite over the Pelicans. Two bad teams in the NBA.
Yeah, Mavericks without Anthony Davis. They got rid of their general manager who made that Luka Doncic trade, which is not looking good because of because Anthony Davis isn't able to be healthy. You're not able to see what that trade could do, and so therefore that cost their general manager their job. And yeah, it's a big surprise because the Mavericks supposed to be one of the, they have a roster when healthy that can be with anybody, but they can't get them on the court. All right, TK, tell us about what's going on at Court Street Cafe.
Well, I'm here on a Friday, which is a little bit different because we were out at the U Club for the golf tournament on Monday for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. But look, tomorrow night, steak night if you're not going to the game. Sunday, the famous brunch, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Jason and the staff do a super job. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They got it going on. Court Street Cafe, Port Allen. If you hadn't checked them out, you need to go ahead and do that.
By the way, speaking of brunch, we'll be at Leola's tomorrow from 10 to noon doing our radio show. A great brunch. I mean, breakfast and lunch and brunch over there throughout the week, 7 days a week. But it's right there on Government Street, right behind Circa 1856 on Government Street. So we'll be at Leola's broadcast, and always looking forward to that because of the great food that they have. So give us a listen on ESPN Radio, Lake Charles, Lafayette, Baton Rouge.
Come out and get some pancakes. I tend to be a pancake guy, especially when I'm at Leola's.
All right, Tommy. Well, for everyone out there, we will have a great weekend. We'll see you on the radio on ESPN Radio Saturday morning, 10 to noon. And if not, we will talk to you on Monday morning. Have a great one.